Aloha, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the guild. This is going to be Casual Master Quest side quest. Today, we're going to be interviewing a man of mystery hailing from the other side of the world. At least to me, it could be
Pretty
different for
much.
anybody to say. If you're on that side of the world, then I suppose, I guess that would be their side of the world. However, right now you're in Canada, so I don't know how, like, other side of the world. What would that be? Australia, maybe? I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you. However, the person we are talking about is Nick. Nick,
Hello.
welcome. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. Are you into bondage?
Never had any experience in that field yet, so
You're gonna really open with that. That's what you're gonna do. That's not even one of the questions.
I'm open to the experience, but
I mean, I wasn't saying anything dirty. I was just more or less like, how are the belts tied around you as you strap to the chair? Is the light a little too bright against your face right now? Because I can put it closer if you want, but welcome to the interrogation.
Oof.
That was just a warm-up question. You said the right choice or not. I don't know. There might be people out there. All right.
Man, he asked me about steak, asked you about bondage. I feel cheated.
I know, right? Oh, geez. Don't worry. There can always be a part two. I was going to say, I got electric clamps hooked up to a nice car battery. I'm going to spark them up a little bit here. Ooh.
Spicy.
I'm sorry. I accidentally set my shirt on fire here. Nick, we got a line of questions between myself and Cam over there. We're going to be talking about you because we want to know you a little bit better, buddy. And, if you got a large sum of money in an international bank that we can somehow get out of you in the process, then it's win-win. So you're going to be very cooperative, and I am so grateful for that. Question number 1. When and where were you born and raised?
So I was born in India, a city in the south of India on the east coast called Hyderabad. It's a mouthful for a lot of North American speakers.
I was gonna say, if you want to say it one more time slowly, because you know me, I learned Shisha, but that's pretty much it.
Hyderabad, so that's Hyderabad.
Hyderabad.
Yeah,
okay,
that's pretty good. Enough. Yeah. I was born there, and then within 10 days, because of my dad's work, we moved to Saudi Arabia for about 2 years. And then in 1997, we relocated to Dubai. So Dubai, which is in the United Arab Emirates. It's just a city. The capital is Abu Dhabi, where we moved in 2007. So I spent 10 years in Dubai and then 7 years in Abu Dhabi.
Holy smokes, that is quite a jump across. Like, to us, I say, I was born in Michigan, but I might have spent some time in Indiana. You're talking about hundreds, almost thousands of miles across parts of the world over there.
I mean, I couldn't tell you what the actual distance is, but the flight from India and the UAE, like Dubai, is 3.5 hours, 4 hours. It's really not that long a flight.
I mean, you say that's not that long, but I mean, a 3.5 hour flight to me would be from LA over to the East Coast somewhere. That's still something.
That's true. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, and that right there is 2,500 miles, if a little bit more than that, I think.
I think it's something like 2,000, maybe 2,500 kilometers. God knows what that's in miles.
I'm abandoning this question. Okay, so cool. But question number 2, you moved to Canada. Why did you choose to go there for school?
So the way the UAE is, it's a very it's a weird place, a beautiful place, and everybody knows that you're gonna have to go somewhere else for post-secondary education, so for college or university, because the education system there is just not up to scratch in terms of giving you opportunities career-wise. And so we always knew I was gonna go somewhere. For various reasons, I knew I was never gonna go back to India. Don't plan on it. And then I was looking at the obvious choices: the UK, Europe, Canada, or the US. Very early on, I disregarded the US immediately as a choice.
Smart move, by the way. Can't blame you.
The main reason being that it's a lot more expensive than it is in Canada. UK was also disregarded as a choice because it was also too expensive, and I still believe they have that issue right now, where they were offering 0-hour contracts for UK nationals, which means they'll give you, if you apply for a job, you get the job, they'll give you a contract, but a 0-hour contract. That means they'll only call you when there is work to do.
On call, okay.
Yeah, so there were hardly any jobs for British nationals. So, and there was no chance for me to my job prospects post graduation would not have been great. so I disregarded the UK. If you ask me now if I wanted to go to Europe, I would say yes, because I didn't want to go then because of the language requirements for a lot of parts of Europe. There are places that offer courses in English, but a lot of places that I would have liked to go because I was going to go into mechanical engineering back then. They like, you need to learn Dutch or you need to learn German, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I want the easiest option.
I can't believe it. One good, jeez.
Canada ended up being the easiest option, mainly because it was the only place that would take me. I found one university out of all the dozens of universities that I applied that was like, yeah, I will take you, because I was a terrible high school student.
Oh. So I actually have a question to jump off that. So upon coming to Canada for the first time, like, what were some of the biggest culture shocks or differences / surprises that you found and things like that? Or were there not many at all?
There were not many at all, because the UAE, like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, is good that way. They try to adopt Western practices as much as possible. So I remember when our weekend used to be Thursday and Friday. So in Islam, Friday is the main day for prayer. They have a big prayer at noon, I believe, or like the midday prayer time. And so Friday was never going to change. And so the weekend used to be Thursday, Friday. And I remember when they changed it to Friday, Saturday, to get as close as possible to how it is in like Europe and North America.
Nice.
And so we were just always exposed, like unlike some other parts of the world, we had YouTube, we had like internet, mostly free access of the internet. So we weren't really sheltered from like how things are in North America. It's also a very superficial lifestyle. So like money is very important in the UAE. So it was also very materialistic. So
money is very important to me too.
Yeah, I was going to say, just from, of course, the perspective I do have from studying geography, I would imagine that the difference would be much more so if you were in Saudi Arabia than that you were.
Oh, you know, so if I was in Saudi Arabia, yeah.
Much different, much different.
Okay. What was your first video game experience? Question number 3 on my end.
Crash Bandicoot 2. So I think we've talked about this on the podcast, but yeah, that was my first video game that I remember clearly. There might have been others, but that was the first video game I remember my dad showing me how to play and going through it and me trying and failing. And there was one level that I was always terrified of, where he's running towards the screen and you've got the rolling ball behind you. And you have to jump over. Yeah, I always hated that level as a kid. And then like 5 years later, I was like the best at those kinds of levels.
Fun fact, I do believe you can replay that level in Uncharted 4, as Nathan Drake versus his wife.
Oh, okay.
I believe that's the one you're talking about.
So another one, actually, to bounce right off of that. So talking about gaming now, your first gaming experience, how often do you play games? Like, how much of a major part of your life is it for you?
Right now, it's a big part of my life. I spend way too much time on games than I should. It was a big part of my life growing up, but my parents were always very restrictive for, it's like, okay, school's more important, this, that, for the obvious reasons. So that's why I never had like a lot of the games. I never had, I never played a Grand Theft Auto game. Apart from the age restriction, my parents just never let me buy a lot of games. That's why right now, and it's put me in that same mindset where I just buy a couple of games and I'll finish them first before buying the next few games. But the games I'm picking up now are games where you just don't stop, like Destiny 2 or any other like MMO.
Right. So I was just going to say, jumping off of that one more time, because I have another one that bounces right off that, which is, seeing as gaming is a major part of your life. Do you have any other like major hobbies that we don't talk about too much besides gaming? Any things that you put a lot of time and effort into?
I used to play the guitar a lot. I wanted music to be a big part of my life at some point, not in terms of me being a musician as a career or like a rock star. Well, I would still like to be a rock star. If you give me the chance now and like all of a sudden transplanted like Slash's hands onto my hands and be like, all right, you can go out there and you can be a rock star, you can lead the Guns N' Roses, I'll be like, yeah, I'll take it.
Look at you.
No, I used to play the guitar. I enjoy performing live. I used to play the bass live. Taught myself a little bit how to play drums for one particular song that we had to do. Taught myself a little bit of the keyboards. Music was a big part of my not childhood, but big part of my high school years. And so I bought both my guitars with me from home to here.
Was there any particular instruments you played in high school?
So particularly, I started with the guitar. Started with the acoustic, moved on to the electric, and then the music institute I was learning at, I became really good friends with my guitar instructor, and so he started putting me on like shows that the institute organized, and I just played bass. I filled in bass for him.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. What were you like as a kid?
Quiet, really shy. No, yeah, I was super shy up until like 15, 16. Once you get to know me, or like once I become like good friends with somebody, then I'm probably as I am now. Like I can have a lot of energy and like I can bounce around, but I was really quiet, really shy. I spent a lot of time reading books, and I miss that about. I miss reading books now to some extent, because I used to read a lot of books. I'd go through a 400-page book in a day.
Wow.
Right?
Ooh, that's dedication.
Yeah, because I didn't have a lot of friends growing up, mostly because I kept to myself, and also I'd spend my summers in India, and I'd spend like the whole 2 or 3 months in India, and alone too, because my parents were busy working. My sister was either not born yet or too young to travel, so I started traveling alone when I was like 8.
Oh wow.
Ooh,
yeah,
mercy. So you were mentioning it when you're 15, 16, around high school time, at least to us. I'm not sure if I'd like to think it's almost the same to you, right? You'd be in high school when you're around 16 years old?
Yeah.
What were you like in high school?
Huh.
Yeah.
I was, I think I was okay. I was a shitty student. Oh, oops.
You're a very
Oops.
vulgar student too, don't worry.
Yeah, I was a very vulgar student. I was just a bad student grades-wise, but I was a student, like, people knew me, like everybody in the school knew me, because I was just that nice kid who'll do something if you ask him. Too. So like teachers like me. I volunteered a bunch for like a lot of the kindergarten teachers.
Okay.
Some of my best friends, their parents were teachers, so I got to know like the school system a little bit that way. Avoided doing schoolwork as much as possible, just chilling with my friends, and like
as one should.
We had an open area called the Quadrangle. Just hanging out, not really causing trouble. I got in trouble once for backtalking our vice principal for picking on one of my classmates for no reason. He came into the class and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he was just sitting there, and I'm like, "You can't talk to him like that." He's like, "Okay, do you want to see me in my office too?" And I'm like, "Sure."
Ooh, look at you, Nick, bringing out the big guns. You better watch out.
That's what I like. That's what I like.
I've never fought with people. I got along well with most other people. If I didn't like somebody, I just ignore them.
Oh, it's okay. We'll change that soon. So, question number 5 on my end: favorite food.
This is probably like a cliche thing to say, and most people would say this. I know not everybody would, but my mom's food obviously tops the list. But right after that, Thai food. Asian food in general is just like the next like 20,000 slots. I just love Asian food.
What kind of culture food does your mom typically make? I don't want to sound
South Indian food.
Okay, fair enough.
South Indian food, it's all vegetarian. My mom doesn't cook. My mom's a vegetarian. My dad's a vegetarian. Yeah, my dad's a vegetarian. My sister's a vegan, but that's a recent change. My parents have never been strict about letting me not eat meat, as long as it's just chicken growing up. And so I'd have like my meat on the weekends.
May I ask a question of ignorance?
Yeah, sure.
Would the cost of meat in southern India be very pricey?
Oh, I have no idea. I have zero idea. So all my family is Indian as well. So let me rephrase that. All my family is vegetarian as well. So
that too.
We never had meat at home.
Okay.
Mind you, in general, food outside in India is not that bad, depending on where you go. Like same as here. Like if you pick the right place, it's both good and not expensive. But I've never ever bought meat in India, like from a store to cook. So you're asking the wrong person. Okay. But mind you, we also have a pretty large population of Christians and Muslims, and so it's all super mixed. So it's not like it's a bad thing to buy meat or anything, and so they don't jack up the price because of that, if that's the kind of angle you were wondering. Or
okay, I guess the reason I was pointing it out is like, for example, say in Southwest California, there's a huge population and density there, and because of that, there's also a concentrated amount of vegetarianism due to the lack of input of meat, because meat is incredibly pricey in that region. And so people, say, oh, I'm going to become a vegetarian to heal myself and, make myself feel better. And also they don't have to pay an extra, $100 a week.
Right.
So it was just a wild guess. I was like, well, I know India's population density can get quite up there, especially around the cities. So I wasn't sure if culture dictated because of the price of, meat in that area. But just a random out of the blue question of ignorance.
No, mind you, I'm also thinking of the prices. Sorry to cut you off, but the prices in relation to Canadian dollars or US dollars, it seems insignificant. But within India, it would seem a lot. So I wouldn't know. So I have no point of reference.
All right. You did bring up Muslims and Christians. Do you follow any religion?
Yeah, so my family, we're Hindus. So they practice they are Hinduism. They follow Hinduism. Yes.
Okay.
I don't follow at all, but I grew up in that religion. I grew up, so that's why we're vegetarians, because Hinduism has different levels, and the highest level are the priests, and the priests are like no meat at all, but different levels allow you to have certain kinds of meat. The overall ban is on beef. So we're not allowed to eat beef because one of our gods is closely associated with cows. Okay,
fair enough. Fair enough. How did you take interest as a podcaster?
So like, I'm gonna be talking about Twitch as well here. When I first playing Destiny 1 with my friends, they'd constantly talk about the popular Twitch streamers who are PvP players. And so they're like, oh, you got to check this guy out. You got to check this guy out. And I'm like, well, where are you watching these people play? And I'm like, is it on YouTube? He's like, no, dude, there's Twitch. And I'm like, oh, okay, let me check that out. Logged into Twitch my first day. There was a man called Professor Broman. And his title, he was at the top of the Destiny directory. And his title was Bald Angry Man Plays Video Games. And so checked him out.
Nice. My kind of guy.
He's actually one of the founders of GuardianCon. Got to meet him this past year at GuardianCon in Florida. And he started a podcast about, I want to say last year in October or November, and just talking. And it's a podcast about helping people set up, and it's a streamer friendly podcast, helping people stream, motivational. And then from there, I learned about Gary Vaynerchuk, because I was one of his sources of inspiration. And Gary Vaynerchuk is a multimedia investment mogul, business mogul. He started he took over his family's wine company and built up from like a $3 million company to like a $30 million company in a couple of years. And then from there, he went on to like dominate social media. And he's like, if you need a creative outlet, just start a podcast. It's the easiest thing to do. Just do one. And I'm like, okay, I'll do one. That's why Professor Broman started one. And I'm like, well, might as well think about it, because I need something creative. And I started forming the ideas on what I wanted to do. And my main idea at this, I'm going to use this as proof of concept now that during this recording. So my idea is the current running title is Third Culture Thoughts. So I'm a third culture kid. I was born in one place. I grew up somewhere else, and I have a fusion of these two cultures, making a third culture. And I was going to sit and talk to various other third culture kids or people about growing up and what their like perspective on life is and how it is compared to where they currently live. Because the only way to like fight any kind of discrimination or racism is really just knowledge.
True.
So just to get like those words, those messages, those experiences out there. And so while I was in the process of workshopping that, I saw a Reddit post by yours truly. By
me?
yes, by
me saying, I need a couple of losers. We need to team up and make a podcast.
Pretty much, and then that's how this started.
Wow.
Man, I was like freaked out with the fact that you responded within a couple hours. I was like, man, it's probably gonna take a week.
I was freaking out. I was on my way back to Canada from India, and so I was stopping over at my cousin's place in a different city for a day. And I, as soon as I landed, just casually checking my laptop, and I'm like, this guy's looking for podcast people. Might as well try. You shoot one. You miss 100% of the shots you don't shoot.
Yes, that is a famous 2.99 poster. Yes.
Yep. I was freaking out too. I just want to let you know that, Tyler.
Really?
Yeah.
No pressure. I mean, anxiety is a beautiful thing. If fear of the unknown can really cripple your thought process and over both things. But you became a podcaster. Look at you. You made it.
Yeah.
You took the big step up, and look at you now. Was there have you still considered the idea of maybe doing the Third World Culture podcast still, or?
Yes, no, that's going to happen eventually. I'm shooting for some time before the end of next year. So I'm giving myself a generous time window, but I'm not stopping any work. So I've been slowly accumulating ideas, workshopping like the tagline, like the abstract, working on the title, thinking of who I could bring in, because I don't want to necessarily restrict it to bringing in guests who are just third culture people, right? I want to be able to bring on everybody and have a conversation with them, but I'm also trying to be careful of like just the theme and the format and what we're going to be talking about, because I don't want to just start off with the heavy hitters and just straight firing criticism upon North American lifestyle, but I want to be able to have like a proper intelligent conversation while keeping it fun as well.
It would be very interesting because no offense to myself or to you, Nick, I don't really get to have the chance of talking to many diverse people. Now, during college, I had the opportunity, but for the most part, the city I was raised in was predominantly white. And unfortunately, I was sheltered from racism and all that. But at the same time, I didn't see any difference between people as much as apparently I was supposed to. And I'm glad that you are out there to actively, try to combat that whole stereotype. And I know people like Cam there. Cam is silently, mind you, infatuated with the idea of this whole world culture that you got going on, because he loves asking questions about it because he wants to know. And quite frankly, I do too. So I just want to let you know that we got your back. And I know Cam will instantly be your first listener if you ever go for that.
Yeah, no, I'm excited.
So, question number 9. What is your favorite video game series of all time?
This is
the story of a girl
challenging.
who tried to drown the whole world. Streamed nothing but Destiny 2 games every time I saw him.
If we're talking about video game series, are we including just like also apart from the games, but also the lore, just like everything about a series around it? Or
it's interesting because you are overinflating the question immediately.
I know I am, because okay,
it can also be just a simple video game. If it's just a video game, great. If it's a series, great. You can explain your reasoning why, because there's always going to be overlap. The Halo franchise.
The moment you said favorite video game, the Halo franchise just popped into mind. Yeah.
Okay, that seemed nice and easy. Now, why is that?
It was the first PC game I played. Halo Combat Evolved, 2001, I believe it came out. First PC game I played, and then I fell in love with the world. I fell in love with the story. I'd spend hours on the various wikis, like summarizing the books, because we never had access to those books. So I'd have to get my information from the internet, and it's just brilliant. Just like I fell in love with the lore, and the gameplay was great too. Halo 4 is one of my favorite games ever. Halo 2 was Halo 3 was good. Halo 5 was gameplay wise great, but story wise disappointing. But yeah, no, and Halo Reach. Halo Reach is the pinnacle of it all. Halo Reach and ODST.
So I do have a question that's going to branch actually both the things we just previously talked about. So video gaming and then also the world culture thing.
Right.
So of course, one thing I'm interested in is in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai, what was the game culture like there? Did releases come out at a different time? Did a lot of your friends play games? Like, how did it differ between the two places? I want to hear it all.
So early on, I think the releases were offset by quite a bit. The first time I remember releases coming to us at around the same time was a Pokemon Platinum when it released, when it was still being I think 8 months or 9 months after the Japanese release.
Yeah.
And so we were getting it at about the same time around then. So that was 2012, 11, 2000, no, even well before.
Yeah, no, Platinum was before. That was 2009, I believe.
Yeah, so around 2009, that's when it was about normalized. Before that, it might have been, I never paid attention to it. But the gaming culture is very much FIFA related. I'm sorry for North American listeners, but football is very, very popular in the Middle East. And FIFA is the biggest game there by far. And people have the money for it too. So Ultimate Team is just making EA tons of money. And then the biggest thing there also was during the PlayStation 2 era was pirated games, getting them for... you could say, like $5, you get a fake game, you insert like a fake chip reader into your PS2. Yeah. For us, a game was like $3, $2 for a fake pirated game.
Oh, nice.
Man. So that's why my friends like, I finished all 2 God of Wars. I played this. I'm like, yeah, I just played Ratchet and Clank 3. It was great. Loved it. And so I had those games. I had Ratchet and Clank 1, 2, 3, 4. Jack and Daxter 1, 2, 3, X, and Lost Frontier, and I just played them all over and over and over again. Try to 100% them. Those are the only games I ever tried to be like an achievement hunter.
Yep. Now, so on top of that, basically, I know we talk a lot actually in the US. We joke about in the 90s, there was a whole soccer mom thing with, you know, Pokemon, the devil, and that sort of thing. So is there any similar analogous thing going on there as well, where like, was there any stigma against gaming in the culture, or was it generally accepted? How would that really play in?
I think the stigma against gaming was essentially the same as in most, you know, developed worlds. It's like, oh, you're spending too much time on the video games. You need to focus on your studies. Very much the same, and it depends on the personal parents' parenting philosophy. Some parents were chill about it. Some parents weren't. There were some parents who had all the money in the world, 6 kids, and had no, you know, they didn't care what their kids were doing. But the only games that were ever like, I think just unanimously people were against, or at least the adults were against, were the GTA games because of the sexually explicit content of those nature of those games.
Yeah, there's a little bit in there.
Those games were actually banned for a period of time in the Middle East.
Oh wow.
There's a couple of things that you told me that was banned in the Middle East, and it really, you know, threw me off there, Nick. Like, for example, you said vaping was not permitted.
No, and I don't. There's no real reason why. It's changed a little bit. So now, as it stands, you can bring in gear and juice from outside so I could take some home, and I could walk around and I can vape. Nobody's going to stop me. I'm not going to get arrested, but it's illegal to be sold and bought within the country. And as far as I can tell, I believe it's a money thing. They're making too much money from the tobacco industry, so they have no reason. This will start taking money away from the tobacco industry because there's probably not as many ties that anybody has to the the vape industry.
Okay, and I know vaping, to me, anyways, is a huge part of your personal persona, so to speak. It's a little bit behind the scenes. Would you think that most of the vape juice that we get personally is made in America?
I believe it's.
I mean, I guess most of it could be locally made, so it could just as easily for you, for example, your brand would be in Canada, but for me, you know, most of the stuff I get was probably locally made. Now, there's a lot of FDA issues that, you know, really struck down on making sure that, you know, you don't do anything too crazy. And, you know, I'm kind of nervous with how America does and regulates their own vape juices. So having any country that isn't like super ready to clamp down on and make sure everything's being followed, have something like that sold in a country like that, I would be really hesitant unless the country was willing to, you know, clamp down and make sure that everything is regulated properly.
Right, which is completely fair. The issues I have with the states right now is that they're trying to treat it as a tobacco product, and they're taxing it as such and trying to make it illegal because of, again, I'm gonna say, and this is all speculation, tobacco lobbyists and how much money to take away from tobacco products. That's from the state side of things. In the UAE, there's a mall called Dragon Mall, which is this massive structure that shouldn't exist, where you have all these really cheap Chinese-based shops, and you can find anything, any kind of hardware, device, electronic, like clothing item, you'll find it there. And there is one place that sells vape juice, and they're not great. They're like really crappy, shady back alley juices that somebody made in their basement. Like,
I mean,
and
they're
selling it for high prices too. These are like unregulated, properly, like not properly treated or made juices that they're selling for $60-$70 for 30 mils. Ooh. And it's of less quality than what you'd find anywhere in North America.
I would like to defend, or I guess counter defend your statement. I think most of the people that make vape juices usually do it in their basements. So,
mind you, a lot of the US based companies, so like Primal is one. They're ISO 7000 certified, which is one of the highest levels of like certifications in terms of like producing things. So that's like lab grade equipment. And there are a few companies that are good like that. So it's just really about taking the time to do research. I've stopped buying house juices from different vape stores and now only buy premium juices because a lot of them are certified.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I kind of got sidetracked there, but I realized what is something in real life that you strongly dislike? I say it's a really generic question, so you take time to think about it. I was going to say hate, but hate's a strong word, so I was going to stick with strongly dislike. You can be generic. You can, be the hero's man and say, I strongly dislike racism. I will continually combat it or something like that. But if you got something like, I hate pancakes on my waffles, pineapple and pizza. Oh.
Okay, so you said food, and I was thinking of food already, so I'm going to go with food. I really dislike the level of Indian food in Canada. It is abysmal. I could make better Indian food, and I'm an okay chef. Like I'm an okay, not a chef. I'm an okay cook. I'm not like anything great, and I'll make 4 things that are really great, and everything else is kind of whatever. But the Indian food that I can make is a lot better than the Indian food you'd find at like a 5-star Indian restaurant here in Vancouver.
Tastes just like home if you find it in the dumpster. One way of putting it. Question number 11, which I already know the answer, but let's throw out some clarity here. Right. What is your sexuality?
I am straight. Okay. Or as far as I know, I've not had any.
Oh, we haven't met yet. That's right. Okay, fair enough. Part 2 to that one: relationship status.
I am currently, as of right now, as of today, in a relationship. It's been almost a year. I want to say it's been 8 months now.
Okay, close enough. You can call it a year.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. I won't go too much further into that because I want to respect you. Like, there's some things like I want to pry open and kind of look into your soul, but it's like, that's kind of his private life. So
no, and also mind you, this is also a bit of a public platform. So
I have the hard hitting question in regards to the relationship status. So if Tyler's not willing, I will. Does your girlfriend play video games?
No, she does not.
Ooh.
No, unlike us, she's actually doing something with her life.
No. Disgusting. How dare she be successful?
Yeah. No, she doesn't play video games. I'm trying to coax her into playing, or at least trying something basic, but she doesn't even have the time for that. So
don't drag her into Destiny 2, please.
No, I would never drag her into Destiny 2. That's way too much of a financial investment to even like start as a beginner game.
Probably financial investment. That's why.
Yeah, probably bring her into I don't know, something simple like Stardew Valley or Terraria or something. Just
now
basic.
You're cooking. Just get her Minecraft or something. Start off simple. Let her have fun. Okay, so since I don't want to get too personal on your relationship, let's go personal, a whole new level in a different direction. What's your blood type?
I believe I'm a B negative.
Ooh, you gotta get positive in your life, man.
What's that question?
Okay, so fun fact for you, Cam. I think Nick might actually know this. In Japan, it's actually common to ask what the blood type is.
I'm aware of that. But
the discover compatibility. So if he's a B negative, him and I could never work out. I won't tell you why unless I get interviewed. But
I'm not going to ask your blood type, Tyler, just so you know.
Okay, Nick, that's all you. Nick, what passion projects are you working on now or have you worked on recently? Now, we kind of touched upon this, things that you enjoy doing. You did do a short film recently. Is there anything else similar to that or you can talk about that too?
So yeah, the film was part of a course I had this semester. So it wasn't necessarily a passion project, but I did have a lot of fun with it. It was a crash course into the film industry, not necessarily filmmaking. Filmmaking was a big part of it, but they told us about the various roles, the theory behind lighting, behind camera work, behind sound design, editing. We went through a lot of like clips in class, analyzing those, breaking those down. That was really fun. I think if you ask me about possible careers that I could see myself in, I could see myself in the film industry as somebody either behind logistics of getting things organized or being like the director, which is essentially like he does logistics himself. But I could see myself as a director, not necessarily just like abuse my power or be in charge of people, but I enjoy working with people. That's my main thing I've learned over the last few years. Like I really enjoy working with people, being a team, like being in charge of like a team and communicating with all the different parts of the team and making sure the job is getting done. I've had fun with that. I've been in I've been in one volunteer role like that where I've had to lead people, and it's a volunteer role I miss every day. The other passion project we talked about, the podcast that I originally wanted to start with, Third Culture Kids. Third Culture Thoughts, I think that's what I wanted to call it. That's one I'm working on right now. I'm working on building my own website from scratch myself. That'll sort of link everybody it'll be my one central hub for the podcast, for my stream, for all my work, for employers, and just everything in general. So what you see online for me, my Twitter profile, my Instagram, my Twitch, this show, really I try to build it on me being like
Real.
this is what you not even like real, this is what you get. Like it's genuine. Like I don't have a private Twitter profile that I use separately. Like it's all one and the same, right? Because
we
if
don't
I
want to talk about what we discussed behind the scenes. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so like it's about creating like a whole like identity that I'm trying to go for right now. At least online. Like I'm not saying I have an identity crisis and I need the approval of a million others. Please like me, right? And come to my Twitch and follow me, yes, please. Thank you.
Don't worry, we'll ask. We'll get you set up, man.
And I want to get back into music at some point, but I'm talking about 10 years down the line. Like I want to start like a band, like a cover band. And I want to stream that. Like I want us to have like a banging like 12 song set list, and we just rock and we just go on live. We're like, hey guys, once every 2 months, this is our show. Thank you for coming out. We just have a virtual concert.
It's amazing you should say that, because I got onto twitch.tv and they show all the partners on there, front page and all that. And unfortunately it starts it off unmuted. So it's like, oh, I got to get out of here before I, get struck with trash hitting my face. Right. And all of a sudden I hear this beautiful melody coming in from a woman just sitting there on the guitar, just singing. And I just sit there, I was mesmerized. I was like, hot damn, this lady's good at this. And so you saying that, it's like, if there was somebody that was just in there, like, let's stream our music, let's do it live, let's show the world what we got. And I was like, that'd be a great idea. And I wish you wouldn't wait until 10 years down the line, but if you want to make something happen,
mainly because it's a hobby for me. Like that's the thing. Like it's very important that anybody sets not even realistic expectations, but knows what they're trying to do, knows what they want to do with it, right? So for example, streaming for me, I'm doing it purely to show to the world that I'm a silly man, sometimes quiet, sometimes loud, that plays video games so much I might as well share it with the world. It's glad that you're here. I don't know why you're here, but thank you for being here, kind of thing, right? I'm not really looking. It's not a career I see for myself. I don't think I could ever do that as a career. That's not what I want. But it's going to be like a mini side hustle. Right?
But you'd want that moment. You'd
maybe want, like, I think everybody craves attention, regardless of what they might say or how humble they might be. Even for a minute, everybody wants like some sort of attention, some sort of recognition. So if all of a sudden, like tomorrow, somebody drops like a fatty 20,000 viewer host on me, and I'm just sitting there starstruck and playing, like, dying constantly in Destiny, I'd enjoy that moment. I'd live it up. I wouldn't know what to do. I'd freak out, and then I'd just be okay and see how how many followers I get or whatever, and then see where to go from there.
All right. Next question. I'm pulling this one right out of my butt, so be ready for this one. How much money do you spend in Canadian dollars on hair and beard products or beard products?
Hair products, I want to say
we can do it by monthly if you want to. I don't know what the.
No, I don't even. I don't have a monthly expense. I can tell you by year. So my shampoo and conditioner total are $40, and I'll probably get $20 each, and I probably only get my conditioner twice a year, so that's 40, and my shampoo maybe 3 times a year. So that's 60. So $100, 120, let's say, for hair products.
That's not too bad.
My beard oil actually lasted me. It's the same one that I got, and I got it when I came to Canada in 2014. It lasted me all the way up until last year. So about 3 years, and it was $30. So $30 a year on $10 a year on beard care.
$1,000 a year. Don't worry, I'm not gonna.
Okay, but then if we're talking about haircuts and beard trims, it's probably like $25 every 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have somebody else professionally trim your beard?
Yeah, I don't touch my beard anymore. I used to, because I'd say, oh, I could do it. I'll do like the lines, clean up those lines myself, but I don't actually trim my beard anymore because I'll make one wrong move or I'll go one setting too short, and all of a sudden I made a mistake and I have to shave it off and start over again. Ooh. So it's been about 2.5 years now that I've not been clean shaven.
Nice.
Like at any point, like I've maybe had a goatee like you have right now at like the shortest, or like
I got something going on the sides here. You just can't see because I'm a blonde.
Yeah,
killing me here.
That's the most I'd like. That's the least I'd ever have, or maybe like down really like skin short. But I've not been clean shaven in a couple of years, mainly because I have a butt chin, and I don't really want people to know about it.
Wait, you mean like a cleft chin?
I've got like a little dimple in my chin right there.
Oh, you got the superhero chin.
Yeah.
Have no fear, Nick is here.
Yeah.
I just imagine just like accidentally like pulling down a little bald spot right there, and like, oh my god, look at Nick. He has a little butt cheek for a chin. Okay. Anyways, completely sidetracked once again. That's okay. Any political preference?
I can't vote in Canada until I'm a citizen, so I don't really pay much attention to politics in terms of local politics, but I pay attention to politics as a whole and just keep an idea, like just generally have an idea of what's going on. If we're going to go by labels,
totally abstain from this question. I would like to point out that Cam has done the same last ones. I was going to throw at you. You can say, I kind of like this and this, but I'm not going to talk about how much of a fascist I am.
No, I most strongly identify with like the liberals. I think it's the same in the States as well. Okay. Or whichever one's the most liberal one. I think it's the.
It's a very deep topic that even I don't understand. So
throwing names around, I'm a liberal person mainly because I like to think of my life experiences. Right, I grew up, surrounded by people of all different kinds. I traveled a whole bunch. I've eaten I've eaten all kinds of food. People are people.
Fair enough. Let's see. If you could have one game, like just tell it, like snap your fingers, and all of a sudden it's like, bam! It has a sequel you can play right now, and whatever console you want. What game would you want have a sequel right now, or a prequel? Depending on how you view it.
Jak and Daxter.
Now, would you want a sequel or a prequel?
I'd want a sequel. I want to know what happens next.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. That was simple, and I would too, because it's like, what was it? The big thing at the end of the last one was like Daxter is like, oh, he's the chosen one. He's one of the old guys.
Yeah, that's Jak and Daxter 3, and then you have Jak and Daxter X that continues the story after, which is the combat racing game.
Oh, Jak and Daxter story.
Yeah, that had a story, and then you have Jak and Daxter: The Lost Frontier. That the story was okay. The gameplay was weird, but it gets really abstract and it's just really out there, and there's like nothing in between. Like all of a sudden you're fighting sky pirates, right? And you're like flying around, and it just gets really out there. And so I'd really like a proper sequel to Jak X, or like Jak 3, Jak 4. To like sort of
now. It's been a while. They need to really push it up the front.
Yeah, I think it's Naughty Dog who owns it. They have no plans for a sequel anytime soon.
It stinks.
I hope like next E3 they're like, hey, surprise! Here's a Jak and Daxter 4 for the PS5. Whatever.
President of Sony will wear a T-shirt that shows Jax on it to give everybody hope at the next Sony Expo. Question. Oh, I put too many questions. No point numbering them at this point. Was there ever a time where you thought you had to give up gaming for your future?
Every day.
Every day it's like, okay, I got to stop this. I need to cut this crap out. I need to live my life.
No, but I'm a procrastinator by nature, very much so. And anytime I don't want to do something, I'll throw myself into something else. And school wasn't going so great maybe 2 years ago, and I'd find whatever else I could, my volunteering position, games, going out, and just throw myself into it to avoid facing the reality of me sucking at school. And so I've changed my mindset. Now I'm using my procrastination to aid me, to like push me forward, right? Like, so I'll work like really hard for like a day, get all my work done, then I procrastinate as much as I want, kind of thing. And so gaming is my procrastination reward. And so I think about how much, if I just stopped gaming, how much, not even time, just how much more effort I'd be able to put. But that's why I started putting more effort into my gaming and everything around it to try and build more, right? Not necessarily like play games more, but like I'm doing the podcast, I'm doing the stream, trying to build a community, trying to network, forming relationships. It's so I'm pushing my efforts into something else rather than just necessarily thinking, all right, I'm wasting a lot of time. Like, well, I'm spending all this time. What can I do?
Absolutely.
Right? It's about rephrasing the question rather than blaming yourself.
Nick, you're an interesting question. Like, there's so many just off the wall things I want to shoot at you, but I can't really form them into actual words and questions because I really want to, I want to get to know you more. And you've told us a lot about yourself, but I got one last question for you.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a curiosity on my end. Any people you want to give thanks to for helping you become the person you are today?
There are a couple people here in Canada. I have my career advisor. She's really she's been really supportive of all the decisions I've made academically wise the last year or so. So I'll always be thankful to her. I had my first counselor when I came to Canada at the college I started at, and she also grew up in the Middle East. I can't remember where, and she did her her undergrad and master's year in Canada. And so there was a connection there because we had a background we could share, right? Like there's a lifestyle there that she was aware of, and then so we could communicate that way, and that really helped make me feel comfortable. And she really helped me through a lot of things. And then I had another counselor, and he's helped me a lot too through a lot of things. He's really helped me settle down mentally and not prepare myself, but settle down and be okay with everything that's going on and sort of push forward. So that's in Canada. Back home,
Nick, I just want to point out here that I asked you if there's anybody you want to give thanks to. You can at least say thanks to the first name basis or something here.
So the counselors specific, like the last few people, I don't know if I'd be allowed to.
You don't.
That's purely it. Yeah, it's just purely from a professional point of view. I don't know if I'm allowed to.
Say, like even first name basis, that could even push it because we talked about where you went to, and then we talked about career choices that the people you spoke with, and we go by name. So I can understand that. So
that's purely it. Yeah,
I'll just keep it to a simple thank you then.
Yeah, and back home. So whenever I go back every December, it's really there's 6 people that I ever want to see. My mom, my dad, my sister, and my 3 friends. Like they were my ride or die people from like high school, and they're family to me. Like I do just about anything for them. It's Andre Vlad, he's Romanian. Ian Biko, he's Filipino, and Andre De Beer, who's South African. Andre De Beer is in South Africa right now. Ian's in Malaysia, and Andre Vlad is in the UAE. He did his aeronautical engineering degree there, and he's going to Newcastle soon, I think.
Andre is the person that I met, correct, on Facebook?
No, that's Eugene. That's my roommate.
Oh, my apologies. Well, you're talking about somebody from, was it Ukraine, I believe, that we were trading Pokemon with? Because you accidentally randomly added me to him.
Yeah, so that's my roommate. He's in Ukraine right now, and he's going to come back in a couple of weeks. And also a big shout out to him, actually, because he's been one of my biggest friends.
If we're talking about him, we don't want to accidentally he's my roommate.
No,
Anyways.
He doesn't care. All these people, I'm not a person that needs a lot of friends. I don't need like a huge circle, like a social circle, but I need a couple.
Then they would bog down your Destiny 2 playing. I mean,
that's pretty much it. No, 100%. Like especially when
I'm not gonna lie, I understand.
But no, I just need a few people who I'm close with, and they fulfill my social interactions need. The biggest person, I know we're running a little bit short in time, but is my mom. Like a lot of other people, maybe I know not everybody because I don't. Okay, anyways,
it's okay to get teary-eyed.
All the values that I have in me, all my perspective on life, my perspective on the world, most of it came from her. Like I wouldn't be the person I was if it wasn't because of the way she raised me. That's really it.
That's very touching, man. Yeah. It really is. All right. Is there anything else that you want to, warn us about yourself or, whatnot before we start wrapping this show up here?
No.
Okay. What's your favorite color?
Red.
Okay, there we go. That was Nick, people. Nick, where can we find you on Twitter, Twitch? Hit us with all the big stuff.
You can find me on Twitter at LRWarrior11, on Twitch at LRWarrior11. So it's twitch.tv/LRWarrior11. Instagram at LRWarrior11. I'm trying to figure out if I'm anywhere else. I'm in the process of getting a YouTube channel set up myself. Yeah.
Look at you.
Some crispy Destiny and Overwatch highlights, maybe.
Nice.
We'll see. Yeah.
So simple enough, and I don't know why I keep trying to stress it out because every time I hear the name, it's like, oh man, I'm not going to remember that. So L as in left, R as in right, and it's not really left to right warrior. There's a different reason for it. Okay, but that's the way I do it, and I'm terrible for it.
No, that's fine. I say it myself too sometimes.
So L, R as in the letters, and then warrior, and then 11, and you can pretty much Google that, and you'll find a whole thing of stuff you can find from Nick here. All right. I think that's the show there. Cam accidentally got struck by lightning, so he is
We're
gone.
hoping he's okay.
Yes, we're hoping he's okay. We're going to have to get off here, make sure that everything is all right on his end, and see if we need to resuscitate him for the show, because without him, we are quizless. So we'll see what's going on there. However, that was the side quest here of the interview, the casual interview of Nick, and that was him. This was 2 times Tyler. The potentially dead person struck by lightning was Cam at Cam Collects, and that was the show. Don't forget to never stop the grind. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye. I love you. I love you. Thank you, Cam.